For those that don't know me, I'm Travis Rogers, been in the dental industry for a very long time. First to build several different products, built and sold. One thing I've done is I've sent over 90 million emails to dentists. So I work with a lot of my clients on how to get that stuff out and how to really, a lot of them are focused on go-to-market strategy. But I really find companies at all kinds of different phases. I really like to work with companies during the idea phase because so much is learned in that idea phase. Study Steve Blank, lean startup customer discovery process. And what they do is they really do a lot of research at the beginning before you build products. I personally, when I first built the electronic referral in 2003, the world was not ready for the electronic referral. I wish I had known then what I know now. I'm selling 3 companies right now, but for the most part, people come to me when they're ready to scale and when they're ready for funding and that type of thing. So with that, today we're going to be focused on the 5-minute pitch. I try and challenge the companies that I work with every month. So Mark Aniola, I'm going to pass it over to you to give your 5-minute pitch.
All right, thank you. Let me get us online here. We looking good? All right, perfect. Thank you for that introduction, Travis. Again, my name is Mark Aniello. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Ethics. At Ethics, we're transforming how dental practices manage compliance. Today's compliance is fragmented, manual, and reactive, yet the risk and regulatory pressure has never been higher. Ethics is a cloud-based, dental-specific compliance intelligent platform that automates the workflows, reduces risks, and gives operators real-time visibility. In the next 5 minutes, I'll cover the problem, our solution, traction, and why Ethics is positioned to lead in this category. The problem: dental practices are operating in a high-risk environment. Regulations are increasing, audits are more frequent, expectation around documentation, training, and incident tracking keeps rising. Practices are juggling licenses, credentials, policies, trainings, audits, incidents across multiple systems, or worse, manually. This creates 3 major problems: elevated regulatory and reputational risk, significant staff burnout and high turnover, and lost productivity. When incidents happen, responses are reactive instead of proactive, and leaderships lack real-time insights. Compliance has become a growing operational burden rather than a managed business function. Ethics solves this by delivering all-in-one dental-focused compliance platform. We digitize and automate the entire compliance lifecycle: training, credentials, incident management, audits, equipment, and documentation into a single system. What makes Ethics powerful is real-time analytics, alerts, corrective actions, allowing practices to identify and mitigate risk before it becomes an issue. The result is simpler audits, reduced stress, and confidence that compliance is under control. The market opportunity is significant. We see this market growing rapidly. Growth is being driven by increasing regulatory complexity, accelerated cloud adoption, and rising demand for AI-enabled niche solutions. Dental is underserved by true compliance intelligence platforms, which positions Ethics to capture meaningful share within a fast-growing SaaS segment. Already has real traction, supporting over 4,100 users across 336 locations and more than 100 paying customers today. That adoption proves the demand and validates our dental-first approach. In a market full of generic compliance tools, Ethics stands out by being purposely built for dental practices, fully integrated. We replace fragmented point solutions with one platform, driving faster adoption, stronger retention, and a clear competitive edge. Our revenue model is simple and scalable. Ethics operates on a recurring SaaS subscription model with additional revenue from onboarding and professional services. As customers grow, add locations, or expand usage, revenue grows with them. We scale through direct sales partnerships with DSOs, compliance companies, compliance consultants, and integration with dental management platforms. This model gives us predictable revenue, strong margins, and efficient expansion across multi-location groups. What's our go-to-market strategy? Our go-to-market is a multi-channeled strategy built specifically for dental practices and DSOs. We're going to drive inbound demand through targeted digital marketing and through thought leadership, then scale distribution through partnerships with associations, suppliers, compliance experts. That's going to be reinforced by focused inside sales and referrals and accelerated through key industry events where buyers already gather. Together, this creates efficient, repeatable customer acquisition. Our funding ask, we're raising $2 million to accelerate our next phase of growth. The capital will be used to expand product development, enhance automation, and our AI capabilities, grow sales and marketing, and support customer success as we scale. Our model is capital efficient and built to scale through multi-location DSOs, including high retention and expanding average revenue per user. Revenue grows from over $1 million in 2026 to more than $21 million by 2030, with an EBITDA turning positive in year 2 and reaching nearly $13 million by 2030, driving strong cash flow and a clear path to profitability. Let me just do the team quick. Our team brings deep experience in compliance, dental practice operations, and SaaS execution. We understand both the regulatory landscape and realities of running a practice. Ethics exists to make compliance simpler, smarter, and less risky for dental organizations. We turn compliance from a liability into a strategic advantage. We welcome an opportunity to explore how that can be part of your growth. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. You
Any
want
questions?
to get to your ask real quick?
Well, I did the ask.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Any questions for Mark? All right. Moving along quickly. Dr. Vajahat Yarkhan. You are up. Are you there?
Are you guys able to hear me?
Yep, we can.
Okay. Hi, my name is Vajahat Yarkhan. I'm a board certified pediatric dentist. Thank you, Travis, for setting this up once again. I'm going to share my screen. Just a second, having some difficulty. Okay, here you go.
Oh, this is a great group we have on today. I love seeing these names up here. At the end, we'll have some introductions of everybody and an opportunity for everybody to network and meet some of the people that are on.
Let's go. Again, my name is Vajahat Yarkhan. I'm a board certified pediatric dentist, and I have 12 offices, a small DSO and emerging DSO in Houston metropolitan market. And while I was building my dental practices, I came up with a plan to improve the profitability of the practices by implementing certain offshore teams in India. And while I continued to build profitability in my businesses, my colleagues, they saw something was different with my practices and my operations. So we had a discussion, and they decided that they would want to have such a team built by me in India for themselves. So those were my first clients, and moving forward, fast forward 8 years, we have a team of 350 people with about 175 offices that we cater to for back office and RCM operations. Now, when that team got to about 50, it became really difficult to keep people accountable, continue to track their performances. Clients were getting a little annoyed because things were not getting done due to all the bottlenecks that we face in the dental office operations. All these problems related to productivity of the employee and insurance payments being late and difficult got complicated, and magnitude of that all increased after COVID with staff shortages. So at that time, right around that time, I decided to build a technology that can somehow automate a lot of these things. So that gave rise to Dentrax. So we saw that there were about 17 to 13% revenue losses that were in a dental office due to inadequacies of the whole operations of a dental office. So we thought, okay, let's automate some of these things and try to solve these problems. And that's what gave rise to Dentrax. So what we did in Dentrax initially was that we created an AI-powered ecosystem and operating system that was based on automation. Now, just last year, after I came back from a few conferences and I saw what people were doing with AI, I changed that solution over to making it an autonomous operating system. So the difference between an automation and autonomous is the difference that we see where the links in an automation chain breaks. So when the link in an automation chain breaks, it causes the stoppage of the automation process. When you put in an autonomous layer on top of it, those links that were changed and broken, the AI goes in there and it repairs it so that the steps can proceed forward. So that's the layer that we created, and now we call it an autonomous AI-powered ecosystem, where everything painful in a dental operations side is being addressed. To give you an example, when the first phone call comes to a dental office, that first phone call, whether it's coming from a Google Ads marketing lead, or it's coming from your website SEO, whatever the source of marketing is, in our DentCom module, which is the first layer that we have, that lead gets captured and the AI agent is deployed to make that phone call answered in a very effective way. It's a very intelligent AI module where the patient's complaints are being registered, their information is being gathered, their insurance information is being gathered. All of that information is collected in the form of a temporary file that gets pushed into the kiosk. So now that same patient, say the patient had a difficulty with tooth number 30 causing pain, that patient, when the patient walks into the dental office, that patient already has had an eligibility verification done by my AI module, which is Dent Verify, which is the second module. So overall, when that particular item is completely verified, when the patient walks into the dental office, the assistant or the front desk already knows what to do with this particular patient. Now, it gets instruction in a very specified way as to what needs to be done by the staff member, and they just follow those instructions. So all of these steps that you see here are taken care of by AI to a great extent, but whatever remains is the part that the human in the loop has to figure out and take care of. So instead of a person having 20 roles, now has been reduced to 2 roles or 3 roles depending on the patient. So this is the whole platform, and it has created a buzz in the society and in the dental circles right now. I will be presenting at the VIP Summit, where I will have a better details, and I'm preparing the slide deck right now. But looking forward to that event, and looking forward to meeting a lot of you guys over there.
All right, great. Any questions for Vajrahat? All right, great. We will move on. Brock from BiteZen.
My partner, just by the way, my partner Ian is on the call. So if you guys have any questions during my presentation, go ahead and put them in the chat and he can answer them for you.
Okay, great.
Let me go ahead and get my slides ready. Okay, everyone can see my screen.
It's coming up. Says you've started screen share, but the slides are not showing quite yet.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, I'm ready to start. Okay, hi, my name is Brock Predovich. I'm the CEO and founder of BiteZen. We are making every night guard smart, as well as turning every dentist into a hero. Now, everyone on the call, have you suffered from any one of these symptoms? Frequent headaches, migraines, neck pain, jaw pain, ringing in your ears, dizziness, or maybe you cracked or broken a tooth along the way. Well, I myself have suffered from each one of these symptoms. That's why I've spent the last 10 years of my life developing a solution that addresses the root cause of each one of these symptoms. What I've found along the way is that each one of these symptoms is a multi-billion-dollar problem for insurance companies globally. And each one of these symptoms is a byproduct of bruxism, which is unconscious teeth grinding and clenching. So when you show up to the dentist and half your smile is gone because you've ground away your teeth during the night. Now, bruxism affects 1 in 3 people, but sadly less than 10% of those who suffer are ever diagnosed or receive treatment. However, that less than 10% that is diagnosed accounts for a $7.2 billion global market. Now, the current solution for bruxism is a mouth guard. It's a simple piece of plastic that can protect your teeth, but does nothing to stop the unwanted behavior of bruxism. What we need is a smart guard. The problem with this current force sensor technology that's on the market is it's fragile and breaks really easy inside the mouth with the pressures of crunching and grinding. It's also expensive at scale. So what we've developed is a patent-pending force-sensing material that we can cut to any shape and size and is a fraction of the cost of the competitors. It's thin, it's flexible, and most importantly, durable. This material allows us to create the Zen sensor, which makes any third-party mouthguard smart. With the Zen sensor, dental labs across the country can make their mouthguard smart, capable of detecting clinching and grinding behaviors, as well as detecting compliance. The Zen sensor sends this information to an app on the patient's smartphone where they can track their behavior. And the patient also gets the opportunity to upgrade to our premium features, which will give them relief through real-time vibratory feedback through their smartwatch or auditory feedback through their earbuds. Their dentist is able to remotely monitor their patient's progress along the way, as well as track for compliance. Now, go-to-market strategy is we are partnering with dental labs across the country because they already have the sales channels and technicians already in place. We arm patients and dentists with data by making every mouthguard smart, and every patient that gets one of our devices gets free tracking through their smartphone, but they'll also get to upgrade to our premium features, which will give them relief from their symptoms. So in this way, we're making money from direct hardware sales to the dental labs, but also software subscription sales directly to the patient. We already have 6 dental lab partnerships in place. Now, if you look at our competition, they're all going direct to consumer with their devices, and we are leveraging dental labs as a force multiplier because we've optimized BiteZen for high clinical integration as well as high go-to-market scalability. Now, the market for this is huge. It's over a $600 million obtainable market. We have a clear pathway to a $21 billion opportunity as we scale. Now, we have an award-winning team that's been working on bruxism solutions for the last 10 years, and our previous bruxism assessment device won an award in the dental industry back in 2020. Now, in the last 60 days, we've garnered partnerships with over 6 dental laboratories, and there's more on the way. The partnership with Remy alone accounts for a $150,000 per month opportunity. Now, we're raising $2.5 million in capital total in 2 different tranches, but our current tranche, we're raising $1 million, and this will help BiteZen scale our platform to a $9 million per year by 2028. Now, traction. We have a patent-pending, thin, flexible, and most importantly, durable force sensor that no one else has on the market. We have 6 pilot partnerships with dental labs across the country, and this gives us access to over 1,000 dental practices that they serve. We have a clear regulatory pathway that will take us about 4 to 6 months to get through FDA and HIPAA compliance. And we have $250,000 that's already been committed by Howdy Partners here in Colorado. But this is just the start. Our mission at BiteZen is to make every mouthguard smart. We have the team, we have the technology, and we'd like you to join our team to make every appliance smart. You can contact me by scanning the QR code to the side or contact me through the email below. Thank you very much, and I look forward to answering your questions.
All right, any questions?
Yeah. This is a pretty brilliant idea. Tell me, if my patient has bruxism and you put this on and I get data feedback on the patient and you connect it to the lab, is this data standardized to say, okay, this patient has sleep apnea or a grinding problem or something similar? Does it recommend treatment for that particular patient with the amount of information that you give it through the app, or is it just monitoring?
So all the information will go to an app on the patient's smartphone, but the dentist will also get this information real time as well. Right now, we're tracking clinching and grinding behavior. So each time they clinch or grind, that gets labeled and notified to the dentist. But we're also working on a solution that will also be able to detect breathing as well. So in one device, we'll be able to detect bruxism symptoms, but also sleep apnea symptoms as well.
Treatment recommendations made or no?
That we leave to the dentist.
Okay.
So we're just
Well,
providing the data. Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is the intention that manufacturers of mouth guards partner with you to add the device to the mouth guard?
Yeah, we're working right now with the dental lab partnerships we have in place right now. we're developing a workflow that works for each of them. Basically, we're trying to come up with a unified workflow that any dental lab can use using the equipment they already have. They don't have to use any special equipment, and they can simply drop this into their process and embed each of their mouth guards with our sensor technology. Our goal is to really democratize our technology across all dental labs across the country.
What are the costs for the dental labs to be part of this?
So right now the pilot partnership is each module is $9.99, so $10. And then after 2 years, it'll go back to our retail pricing, which will be roughly $30 per module.
Okay, so do you have two different revenue channels then, the labs and the mouth guard manufacturers?
So no, just the labs is where we're selling the raw material. That's considered a raw material to the labs is our sensor module. And then our software sales directly to the patient that's upgrading their app to get relief. That's where we make the ongoing revenue going forward.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Carrie Lyons.
Is it something where if we're printing mouth guards in office that we can do in office?
That's what we're working on right now. Yes, we've developed a process that's a two-part process where you're printing a soft acrylic inner liner, and then we're attaching our sensor to that, and that goes inside of a hard acrylic outer shell.
Are you going to be in Chicago, Brock?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You're going to be at the summit?
I am. Yes, I'm going to be pitching
Okay.
there.
Okay. Thank
I'm
you.
interested
Look
too.
forward to meeting you.
Soon.
Up next, Alvin Utai from Elite Dental Force.
Well, thanks, Travis, for the opportunity. Aloha and talofa to everybody that's on here. My name is Alvin Utai. I'm the founder and CEO of Elite Dental Force. Elite Dental Force is a startup SaaS company located in Saratoga Springs, Utah, with a focus on simplifying the entire billing and the insurance process. We've also implemented that marketing aspect to it as well. So there are some new things that we've been able to do within a small amount of time. I was going to do the pitch deck, but because we only have 5 minutes, I'm just going to skim right through it. So Elite Dental Force just launched. It's never been done in dentistry before. We just launched the first 5 AI consultants agent that can really live within your office, guide and facilitate the processes that your actual patients are running off of. So when it comes to the billing, it will understand billing rules. It will understand the actual CDT codes, the IC10 codes, and then also, 1,500 to 1,800. And that will allow you to actually have access to 3. So that can be your operations, that can be your insurance, and also your scheduling. Those 3 things can go together. And then on top of it, there's another package that's going to be kind of like your enterprise package that gives you the ability to not only get metrics on your KPIs and data, but it also gives you access to all of your 4 agents. And then the last package, it's a $4,000 package that consists of your marketing. It consists of the whole entire suite, but marketing is kind of like the icing to the packages. So again, we launched that. Ben Tuane is actually going to be announcing it at the actual conference next week. He's actually one of the advisors that are sitting on it. He's super excited. We just partnered with Veritas to be able to get that out to as many people as we can, because right now the biggest issue is actually finding exact knowledge that you need to guide and facilitate your team on a very high level. And the problem is once that you get that, it's hard to maintain it within your office. And so we're providing that on a very, very high level with Ranch AI, who we partner with, who is the infrastructure that normalizes and cleans up the data to where you're not getting any hallucinations. These guys are actually backed up by so many case studies to where they have big clients. They have T-Mobile. That data is important. And if that data is not accurate, well, then everything else goes to crap. Sorry, my language. But yeah, that's us. That's Elite Dental Force. And if you want to get into contact with us or see a demo, I'm more than happy to kind of show off that. That's just kind of where we're at right now, just again, for the sake of time. Thanks, Travis.
All right. Thanks, Alvin. And I put Alvin's website. And if you guys are looking in the chat, there's investor pages with the full pitch decks and past recorded videos, as well as more information about investments for each of these companies, as well as a link to book calls with each of the people that are presenting today. So up next, Laith from Hesse, your first time on the monthly pitch.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, Travis, and also shout out to Marty. Let's share my screen. Good to go?
Yep.
Can you guys see my screen? Great. Yeah, so I'm Laith, co-founder and CEO of HesiTech. We are making the first AI-powered robotics platform for preventive dentistry. So robotics and AI are actually already taking healthcare. Surgical robotics are already mainstream. Over a third of hospitals in the US already use them. And actually in some specialized areas, it's all the way up to 90%. So for example, in urology, you start to see that. And it's not just for surgery, even patient-facing clinical robots are starting to gain adoption alongside AI. So for example, an autonomous blood drawing robot out of Denmark, if you believe it, has an incredibly high patient satisfaction rating, over 96%, where people really cite the convenience and the precision. And AI isn't just being used for diagnosis. In some cases, over 50% of radiation cancer treatments are being delivered and designed by AI-controlled systems. And so by this trajectory over the next 10 years, robotics will become the default for automatable, repeatable health procedures. And where that frontier lies, I think most obvious, but is totally untapped, is actually dental hygiene. You have a massive demand issue with an acute capacity gap that gives a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. Almost 300 million cleanings just in the US, with wait times still at an all-time high. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics reports there's going to be 180,000 job openings by 2030. And so you won't be surprised to find that over 90% of practice owners express hygiene labor as a top concern. And yet still there is no systematic solution that addresses this issue, as acute as it is. And so, obviously, to cut to the chase, what we're trying to build is an AI-powered robotic assistant for dental hygiene and preventive care so that we can automate scaling, polishing, probing, and even caries prevention or remineralization. And we're trying to augment hygienists, not replace them, such that we can double patient throughput, increase profits in the bottom line for clinics, and increase patient access and convenience, especially in dental deserts for patients. And then because we're data-driven and using AI, we can, for the first time, actually standardize the quality of care. Now, the system will be comprised of many different components, including a vision system. Obviously, you will be able to track patient movement, especially the upper and lower jaws independently. We have a force torque sensor that turns out to be pivotal to get this working, but really where the innovation lies is the data. We're collecting data from expert hygienists that drives the system to replicate that behavior you can see. And we already have a very cool proof of concept that removes over 90% of plaque that actually exceeds hygienist benchmarks according to the literature. We've got a provision patent filed, and we do have a regulatory strategy outlined, but I'll skip that for today. Just to be a little bit more precise about that value proposition, a 2x throughput, if you do the math with the clinical workflow we have in mind, it leads to a model profit uplift of $120K per year for a given practice. That's driven by lower labor costs and upsell and the other procedures that we're automating. And that clinical efficacy will be around 2x based on what's out there in available literature, if you're measuring just cleaning coverage, for example. But beyond just for the clinics, for hygienists, we're thinking of improving their economics and reducing their fatigue so that they can actually work more and transitioning them for a more sophisticated, technologically speaking role. The market opportunity here is over $30 billion, including ARR with the pricing model that we have in mind, just in the US, and then in developed markets, over $56 billion. But one thing I do want to highlight is that we are trying to build a dental foundation model such that the different data that we feed for different procedures gives us multiple revenue streams for different things we can do with the system over time. And then also pair our system with what we're calling hygiene centers. Basically, these would be clinics that are designed specifically for hygiene to give that super convenient experience that I alluded to earlier. We're not the only dental robotics company, but we are the first one that is AI driven and that focuses on hygiene. I've done healthcare robotics for over 13 years now. CTO is a PhD in autonomous robotics, and our CCO is a 25-year veteran in dentistry and actually co-founded his own DSO. Where we're at right now is, believe it or not, we've been bootstrapping so far, built this robot from scratch, finally ready for our first fundraising round. It's going to be around $500,000. And we are actually hosting a webinar that, will be giving a much more longer pitch for a lot of investors that have expressed interest in us, where outline some of the goals of this round, hopefully be able to delve much more deeper into what our timeline looks like. Thanks, Travis. That's it.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, Laith. I put your LinkedIn in the chat for those that want to connect with Laith. Any questions for Laith on HESI? I know there's a couple people. We got Ed Zuckerberg on. I know he's deep in some of the robotic stuff as well. So,
Hey Travis, how you
yeah,
doing?
good to see you, buddy. Doing well.
You know, obviously there's a definite shortage in hygiene, and automating it sounds like an awesome idea in theory, but how can you deliver something like this at a cost-effective price to the dental practice?
Yeah, I think, when it comes to the cost, the system components are really going to be driven by a particular scanner that we need to get this working, as well as that force torque sensor that I mentioned. Turns out that haptic feedback is extremely important to get this working. We don't have a specific or detailed like cost of goods or manufacturing pound outline yet, but the best that we could do for now is compare systems that have similar components in totally different industries. Now, the extent to which that works for a dental office that has very stringent CapEx constraints, and we want to try to adopt a robotics as a service business model where it's primarily focused on monthly subscription over time, there will be a tricky balance between how quickly we can make back our money on time versus what makes sense for the clinic. It's something we're working on pretty actively right now, to answer your question. But I think that the primary drivers of the cost will be that particular scanner that we're thinking of, as well as that force torque sensor. The robot is actually an off-the-shelf robot. We don't need anything particularly fancy there, actually. The way that the AI works makes it so that it's pretty compatible across the board.
If you're getting involved with actually having some sort of robotic work being done in the patient's mouth, yeah, you need all kinds of 3D spatial stuff to analyze the jaw in space. And you mentioned this is not replacing the hygienist, but assisting them. What exactly would the robot do? Would it be just polishing after the assistant does scaling and calculus removal?
No, we're thinking of doing a pass for both scaling and polishing, but we don't think we would be able to penetrate very deeply into the pockets to replace hand scaling that usually happens at the end of an appointment. So that part, I don't think we would necessarily replace. We would still want the hygienist for that. The workflow that we want to adopt kind of mirrors double hygiene. And the idea is that you'd have an assistant with our system while it's doing its scaling and polishing pass. And when the robot is done, then the hygienist would come through for hand scaling, and which I think, based on everyone that we've been talking to, feels like you still want to have that human touch, even if it could do the job, which early results are pretty promising. About the spatial component, that's definitely true. And that is why the 3D scanner is pretty pivotal, especially for tracking the patient movement.
I mean, have you done any work yet, even on a typodont, where the robot is actually scaling a typodont?
Yeah, maybe that GIF I showed wasn't very clear, but yes, to answer your question. We have a longer demo that I also can show.
All right. Sounds good. Any other questions for Lath? All right. Let's move on. Mark Thorson from Inflatrix.
We're there. All right. Thank you very much. My first filling was at age 8 in 1971. And knowing what I know now as a clinician, that I couldn't have possibly known as an 8-year-old kid, was that the matrix technique and concept in use for me in 1971 was already at least 35 years old. That's what was done, that's what was taught, and that's what worked. And it works. I'm not here to tell you that the classic Toffelmeyer concept doesn't work, because it does. And even through my life and my training career into dental school in the late 80s, that's what we were taught, with very minimal upgrades, if any, at that point. Fast forward through my career and reflecting back on my frustration with handling all of that equipment, all those pieces, all of that time. I'm a huge James Bond fan, so I was watching GoldenEye one night, and I'll make this very abbreviated, Bond and Q in the basement, checking out gadgets like they always do. And in the background, there's a phone booth, and one of the MI6 people walks in and picks up the phone to make a call, and a huge airbag explodes inside the telephone booth, traps him there. The fuse was lit. Inflatrix was born. I had my first drawing of Inflatrix in 1 hour from that moment. Since then, we've been hard at it. Scale. Inflatrix is simpler, faster, and much more comfortable. There's the elevator pitch. The status quo is that we still use too many pieces. It still takes too long. And it still looks like this. This, again, it works, but at 60 to 75 seconds is an eternity. Those of you who are clinicians and have done this thousands of times don't maybe think about this very much. But this process is still being taught to dental students right now in 2025, 2026. We need to do better. Our patients are still sore for several days after post-op. That was my primary motivation for the commitment that I have made, as Travis mentioned at the outset, to do this crazy thing, which is believe in this process and believe in myself. Now, with Inflatrix, you have an answer. It is one piece. It goes into place in far less than 30 seconds if you do it 3 or 4 times. And patient post-op feedback is that it's much more comfortable. That's verifiable. Our market opportunity is outstanding. I won't promise to read you all of this in the interest of time, but we have the data. We have initial revenue. The pricing and volume of $3 a unit is extremely competitive, what's out there already. And we have the numbers for our market approach. We're going to be directing at small groups. You can read it yourself. We have all these processes and platforms arranged. Everything is where it's supposed to be. I will add that just today, I had an initial conversation with a government buyer who is very big on the Department of Defense. Guess where a huge chunk of dentistry is done at the government levels. So that's another conversation that will be a marketing concept. Like I mentioned, $3 a piece. Cost of goods is between 20 and 40 cents. This is a very high profit device. And we have all the figures and proof to go forward. We have very confident projections of just over 2.5 million in our first year in production. We plan on going into production in Q2 of this year. And you can see the highlights of these testimonials. These have to be highlights. I can't read them to you. I'm at 30 seconds here. We have achieved significant milestones. MVP is in hand. We have quotes. We have 2 patents, a trademark, FDA 510K exempt status. And we have production methods. And now, as of 2 weeks ago, packaging is all in hand. Our fundraising ask is $500,000. We have initial conversations underway with an incredible angel, and these are very positive. As I said, our development is basically finished. This is our team. You can see a bunch of rock stars here who are leading this, and the opportunity, the market size. I mentioned my ask. We have been bootstrapping this far as well. We have not done any dilution yet, but the goal is get out into the marketplace this year. The QR code will take you to our website and link you to a whole bunch of information. Travis, as usual, is awesome in putting things up for us. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right. Thank you, Mark. I also put Mark's contact info, investor page, and meeting link to meet with Mark in the chat as well. So any questions for Mark? All right.
I have one, Travis. It's Carrie.
Hey, Carrie.
What's the sales and what's the go-to-market plan? How's it going to be sold and distributed?
It's going to be sold by way of focus on DSOs, but also individual docs, by way of trade shows, by way of significantly advanced marketing plan. Happy to go into details for you, Carrie, but I hate to say the usual channels because we're expanding on that. I could give you a longer answer if that's important at this point. I don't want to take too much time from the process here.
Well, Carrie's an expert at it. So, Carrie, what do you think the channels are?
Well, that I'm just asking. Look, not for now. Be in Chicago, Mark?
Yes, sir. In fact, I'll have a table at the VIP summit, so I look forward to meeting you.
Okay, same here.
Thank you very much.
All right, great. Up next, another newcomer, Dr. Helena Sumer Lincoln from TrueBridge. You're up, Helen. Thanks for joining.
Yep. Do you see my slide?
Yep. Go ahead and go into presentation mode. Present down at the bottom right there. Yep, you got it. Perfect.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I am Dr. Helena Sumer Lincoln. I live in Bainbridge Island, Washington. I have a full arch functional restoration. I also have 5 patents and 2 trademarks. One was just granted yesterday. So the product is for people whose traditional solutions don't always work. Here's one of my patients here. The reality is that 40 million people in the United States have either some or all of their teeth are missing. And for some reason, 90% of them use removable dentures. But what happens after removable dentures is that nutritional intake declines. People can't eat well. There's a study from Indiana, 10,000 patients or more. And so 2 years after getting dentures, their blood tests showed significant decline in nutritional biomarkers. That was not seen in controls. There are also serious medical risks that can happen. For example, elderly can have pneumonia when they don't take their dentures out. There's denture aspiration cases in swallowing. But what really happens, those are rare cases, but the everyday cases are people just stop participating. They don't play sports. They don't show up in social settings oftentimes, and some even leave their profession. There was my patient who was an avid volleyball player, and he said, I never play again because his dentures fell out when he was playing. There's a chef who couldn't taste his food. Now, why is this that 90% still choose dentures? It's not because they want the dentures, but the alternative is hard. Here is the all-on-4 surgery or all-on-X. And most people can't have that because it is invasive. It is very expensive. Where I live, it's $65,000 per arch. And it takes a long recovery time. Oftentimes, the post-op medication is opioids, and many people may have opioid use disorder, and so it may trigger their relapse. So then bone removal is part of the design to create this prosthetic space, to establish the hygiene clearance, level the bone, and then anchor the implants. And here's the artificial. But anyways, TrueBridge is bone preserving, minimally invasive, full arch solution, and hopefully I can show that. So I use water laser for most of it, and it is much, much more non-invasive. This is the patient I was showing earlier. Well, okay. So implant placement is also non-invasive, and soon I will show how I'm placing the full arch restoration, which is teeth only, FB1, no artificial gingiva. And let's see how it scales. It is just biologically very respectful. It works for real life patients, and the cost is very much lower. It's about 10 times less as what it is currently. And here is the way our business model works is that we have education. We were Academy of General Dentistry approved PACE provider, and we train every month 5 dentists and 1 instructor, and then the instructor trains 5 more dentists, and so that's how we grow. And we have had very good results, lots of awards and wins. And we would like to raise some capital to expand our dedicated training center. This picture is taken from the porch or the deck of the training center. And as a good note, the volleyball player is playing again, and the chef is cooking, and everybody's happy. That's the end of my slides.
Great. Any questions for Helena? Look forward to learning more about it.
Travis, I'm sorry, I couldn't find the raise the hand button, but I would love to ask Doctor a couple questions. Is this a process, or is the product the appliance?
Both. We have patents on the system, and we have patents on the product. It's a system of preserving the bone and system of manufacturing the zirconia bridge. So both. Yes.
Okay, interesting. I'd love to learn more.
Thank you.
I got a question. You said there's a 10% discount. So you're saying that based on your location, that the savings to the patient is about $6,000?
10
$7,000.
times less expensive, that 10%.
So the price is $7,000 per arch.
That's significant.
Is that
But it,
without the implant cost or just the appliance?
it includes the implants, any type of implants.
So are you selling the implants too, or are you just, we can use anything we want and it's your abutment / attachment?
Yeah, you can use any implant you want. I use Glidewell implants. I've used other implants. There are also TRI implants are very good because they don't even have the abutment. They have the bolt screw 2.8 millimeters wide. So they work as well. You can use any implants.
Great presentation. Thanks, Helena. I put your LinkedIn for everybody to connect with you in the chat as well. So last pitch of the day, Lindsay from Chairside IQ.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for fitting me in. Let's
Yeah.
see how I can share my screen here. Yeah, it's great. Thank you. Let's see. You can see my screen, but there we go. All right. So I'm here today to talk about Chairside IQ. Basically, it's a clinician-led platform that allows chairside recommendations to be turned into
Just seeing the window, by the way.
action. You can't see in the window?
We see my picture up, not your.
Oh, that's not right.
Yep.
Let's see.
So just
Stop.
share.
Try again.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So like I was saying, thank you for having me. It's a clinician-led platform that turns chairside home recommendations into patient actions. So what it's intended to do is to take that clinical intention of home care recommendations and the patient follow through and then turn it into ethical revenue for both the practice or clinician. It's built into the workflows for about 60 seconds. So it can be done chairside recommended products for the patient. The problem is that millions of recommendations are made each day from chairside, and patients oftentimes, I note that they forget exactly what we told them to buy. And there's lots of variations of different things that we ask them to purchase, but once they get home and Google it, they get confused and then they put it in their cart and they don't actually buy it. And so those types of events can prevent the patient from actually following through with our recommendation. There's also a challenge when you don't have that follow through. There's no ability to track if they purchased the item and or no data to show their compliance or subscription model for them to continually receive that product. We provide these educational recommendations to the patient with zero impact on us financially. So we don't get the opportunity to recommend certain products to our patients with a financial gain. These brands that we do recommend, they actually spend a lot of money on their direct to consumer advertising, yet the consumers don't oftentimes actually purchase the product or repurchase the product because they get confused. Right now, Dentistry does not have a true chairside commerce platform. That's why I'm thinking of creating them in the seed stage of this platform. It's easy. You just set up your QR code. You can select your condition, whether it's a product you want to recommend for sensitivity, gingivitis, dry mouth, etc. Then the platform itself will ask what level you would like your recommendations to be, platinum, standard, or budget. The patient will receive a QR code or a text with our branded, whether it's clinician-led or practice-led, and little education cards why it's going to be specific for their need. Then that checkout can happen immediately using the pay structures. And then certain levels of revenue can be attributed to the clinician directly. They can look at their statistics and analytics of seeing what their top performers or top recommendations are over time. This will work because patients trust their dental hygienist and their dentist to recommend products that will work for them and solve their problem. It is delivered at the time of the diagnosis. So it's certainly more impactful when the patient can just push a button. And I couldn't tell you how many times I can ask my patient to look up a certain toothbrush, they put it in their cart, but they never buy it. So when you can offer them something that's already pre-planned, ready to go, bundled up, they're ready to purchase. This also allows clinicians and dentists, clinics rather, to not carry an inventory. Sometimes your recommendations will change. You can just simply edit that within the platform. So there's no pressure to hold something that's going to expire or worry about theft and loss. This is designed to be a dual revenue engine. So sponsored placements through branding. So we allow certain brands to market their products within our bundles. And then those can become routinely changed out or, based on the clinician's preferences, we can work with certain vendors. Each percentage of each product sold is given to the clinician. There are certain individual models of this based on products, but I think we need something more packaged, ready to go for each clinician. The hygienist leads the adoption of certain products, and it would drive the usage of this up very quickly. It can be free to use for practices. Then we would monetize the branding and advertising space, not the clinicians themselves. And then expansion, we could go to DSO protocols, different things that they like to make sure that their patients adopt to. And then right now, the problem is that when patients go out there into Target or CVS and you just see people staring at the wall of products, they don't exactly know what to pick. I oftentimes chime in and try to help them. When you're out in the retail marketplace, there's no context on what is the best thing to choose. And dental distributors like Henry Schein or similar are really just office focused. So they're not able to provide that home care product for the patient. And then direct to consumers, there's not a lot of support in those consumers. And they spend a lot of money trying to recruit patients into their products. So this would provide a future intelligent product that could layer into different applications. I chose this application to launch first because of its ability to produce revenue and expand quickly. And then what I'm looking for is just essentially an angel investor or seed investor to start my MVP development and try to get some leadership guidance, business guidance in this world of development of dental adoption and work technology. So I'm a 18-year clinician of dental hygiene, and I have this problem daily in my clinic. I do understand patient behaviors and how they think, how they act. And I have a lot of credibility with clinicians and very good relationships with vendors. And right now, I am very good at putting together workflows and digital adoptions. And so there's my contact information. And I would look forward to having a conversation with anybody about my idea.
All right.
Thank you,
Lindsay. We got a question from Carrie Lyons.
So, maybe I missed it. Where are the products coming from that are going? So you're gonna recommend, and I'm gonna say, okay, I want them. How do I get them at my house?
Well, that is a great question. I would have to come up with the vendor relationship so that we could directly send it from there, or we could find a distributor like Henry Schein that has similar products that could drop ship, Amazon.
Okay, so you don't have a fulfillment mechanism. It's
I don't
just
have
a
it yet.
recommendation.
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
And
we definitely will have a fulfillment mechanism. I just perhaps didn't anticipate.
And you
that.
want to share some of the revenue with the office that's recommending?
Either office or clinician, depending on
Right.
how.
But
Yeah.
So you know that has some legal liability.
Ethical. Yes.
No, legal. So
Oh, okay.
you have to look into that on how that's
Okay.
done. By recommending products that are being sold and I'm taking a percentage of.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have you thought about the sales tax issues?
That is a wonderful question.
Well, she's not
I'm
doing
not fully-
fulfillment, Marty, so she doesn't have a fulfillment that could make it. Whoever
Right.
does the fulfillment's going to have to do the billing.
Right. But if it's actually looking like it's coming from the dental office, they may be the ones who are required to file the sales tax.
Yeah, maybe, but
It's a dicey little issue.
Okay. Thank you for your feedback.
Yeah, you got the experts on. That's why we're here to help
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
All the feedback's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anybody that wants to connect with Lindsay, her LinkedIn is in the chat and you had her contact information in there as well. Thank you, Lindsay. And for those that are still on, you got a bonus. I spent about $2,500 buying I joined the Family Office Club, and they gave a bunch of AI tools. I put in the chat several links that I encourage whoever's launching products, building investor decks. These are great tools for uploading your pitch deck, uploading the information about your company, and using Chat GPT. So these are all GPTs that you plug into your Chat GPT via the link there, and you can upload your decks, upload anything about your company, and it will give you scores on your decks. That's a very good tool. So those are great tools. A little bonus for those that are still on. I will close out the games for today, and I really look forward to seeing everybody next week in Chicago. Thank you all for joining. We'll see you next month on the Dental Venture Capital monthly online pitch.